You wasn't here when nigga was chilling on this bitch. You only was here cause the nigga got some drama shit going on. Fuck ya. Get off your phone, go to work. Go get some money or something.
You open your feed and there it is, Chloe Bailey's response. Not a retweet, not a like, a full statement. After days of silence following the release of court documents accusing DDG of emotional and physical abuse toward Halle Bailey, Chloe has officially broken her silence. And her tone? Measured, sharp, subtle, but impossible to ignore. She didn't drop names, she didn't go live, but she did post 3 words on her Instagram story that sent shockwaves across social media. Protect Black women. No tag, no hashtags, just a solid black background. And instantly the internet knew who she was talking about. Fans reacted in real time. She said everything without saying anything. This confirms she's standing with Halle. Chloe been quiet too long. This hit different. You start scrolling and it's everywhere. Twitter, X, is in chaos. YouTube commentary channels are already posting reaction videos. Screenshots of her story are being reshared with captions like, "Sister first, celebrity second." What makes this moment powerful isn't just what Chloe said, it's what it represents. Because while the world has debated, speculated, and dissected Halle's legal filings, Chloe waited. And now that she's spoken, even indirectly, it carries weight. You ask yourself, why is it always the women who have to carry the burden of speaking up? Was this statement cleared by legal teams, or did Chloe decide enough was enough? And how many other women in this industry are watching silently, waiting to speak their truth? Because this isn't just a family matter anymore, it's a cultural moment. And Chloe Bailey? She just shifted the narrative. Now that Chloe's statement is out there, the ripple effect is immediate and impossible to ignore. News outlets start picking it up within the hour. The Shade Room reposts it, Complex drops a headline. Even mainstream media like Variety and Billboard include her story slide in updates covering the D case. Not because she said a lot, but because she didn't have to. That's the thing. Chloe didn't give you a video, she gave you a stance. And that alone shook the room. People begin analyzing her timing. Why now? Why this phrase? Why such a minimalist delivery? Some say it's a show of solidarity. Others think it's Chloe pushing back at the narrative that she's too quiet when it comes to protecting her sister. And a growing number of fans believe the timing wasn't random at all. It came right after Halle's legal team revealed new documents outlining more incidents of alleged abuse by DDG. One detail in the new court filings stands out. According to Halle, he barged into her home uninvited, photographed her bedroom, and allegedly sent the image to her phone with a threatening message. That's the kind of violation that doesn't just affect the person it's aimed at. It affects everyone around them, including their sister. So when Chloe says protect Black women, it's not vague. It's a direct response to a direct threat. And as more fans begin connecting dots, it becomes clear. This wasn't damage control. This was defense. You start to wonder, did Chloe see the bruises behind the scenes before the headlines ever came out? Has she been holding this in, waiting for the right moment to speak? And now that she's broken the silence, how many others will follow? Because this isn't just celebrity drama, it's a family drawing the line. And Chloe just made it clear exactly where that line is. You keep scrolling, and now the backlash begins. Not against Chloe, but against those who stayed quiet. Suddenly the internet isn't just focused on what Chloe said. It's asking why others haven't said anything at all. Where's DDG's camp? Where are the influencers and YouTubers who once filmed couple vlogs with him and Halle? Where are the artists who praised DDG on podcasts and red carpets? Because while Chloe's 3 words hit harder than any press release, they've also cast a spotlight on the silence of others. She said what needed to be said, one fan posts. Meanwhile, half of Black Hollywood acting like they didn't see the bruises. And what makes it worse? Some people are speaking out, but not to support Halle. Instead, they're questioning the legitimacy of her court documents, calling it clout chasing, or implying the timing is suspicious. And now those comments are being dragged online, hard, because the public has shifted. The moment Chloe posted her message, the conversation stopped being about whether DDG was guilty. It became about who's protecting Halle and who isn't. That's why Chloe's statement felt so necessary. She didn't frame it as a personal attack. She didn't weaponize her words. She made it universal, even though everyone knows exactly who she was talking about. And that universal framing? It made the silence of others look even louder. You ask yourself, how many times have women had to be both the survivor and the spokesperson? Why is public support from family seen as bravery when it should be the bare minimum? And what would have happened if Chloe had stayed quiet too? Because one post doesn't fix everything. But in this moment, it said enough to shake the room. Now the conversation moves beyond social media and into the headlines. Commentary channels, legal analysts, even entertainment lawyers are weighing in, not just on the abuse claims, but on Chloe Bailey's decision to speak up. Because in an industry where silence is often the safest strategy, Chloe just made a move that could risk brand deals, press relationships, and public image. But she didn't flinch, and that's what has everyone talking. You don't post something like that unless you're willing to deal with the fallout, one industry insider says on a live stream. She knew what she was doing. People start pulling clips from old interviews, moments where Chloe praised DDG as a good guy, or laughed during playful moments between Halle and him on live streams. It's clear now she was playing nice for the camera, even when things behind the scenes may have been falling apart. And that realization hits hard, because Chloe's not just a public figure, she's a sister. And for months, she said nothing. Not out of ignorance, but out of restraint. Until now, her post draws comparisons to other public support moments, Solange defending Beyoncé, Cardi B calling out Offset's critics, even Gigi Hadid standing up for Bella during her controversies. But this moment feels heavier, because it's not about image, it's about violence, alleged threats, emotional manipulation, safety. And Chloe? She didn't wait for a PR green light. She didn't wait for public opinion to lean a certain way. She posted when it felt right. You ask yourself, how many other sisters are watching this and wishing they had a platform like Chloe's? How often do we ignore subtle messages from women who are quietly screaming for help? And when someone finally draws a line in the sand, why does it take this much pain for people to believe them? Because this wasn't for headlines. This wasn't for clout. This was Chloe saying, enough, and she knew exactly who needed to hear it. Now the fallout is starting to take shape, and it's not just emotional, it's strategic. Behind the scenes, PR teams are scrambling. DDG's team reportedly reaches out to news outlets to issue a no comment, but by then it's too late. Chloe Bailey's post has already set the tone for how this entire moment is being perceived. Fans believe her, not because she gave details, not because she named names, but because she didn't have to. Her silence had lasted just long enough to feel graceful, but once the documents dropped, once the photos of bruises, chipped teeth, and screenshots of threatening messages entered the court record, Chloe's restraint became too much to hold. And in just 3 words, she flipped the script from confusion to clarity. Meanwhile, DDG's name begins trending for all the wrong reasons. A sponsorship deal with a streaming platform vanishes quietly from his profile. Several YouTubers remove collaborative content they filmed with him and Halle. And worst of all, his own fanbase seems divided, some defending him, but many now rethinking everything they've seen. And through it all, Chloe stays silent again. Just one post, no follow-up, no explanation. That kind of calculated minimalism, it's not random. She didn't add fire, she added light, a fan posts. And now we're all seeing this clearer. What's left now is the court date, and a rising tension around who will testify, what will be exposed, and who will keep pretending they didn't know. You ask yourself, is this the beginning of more public support for Halle, or the end of it? Will other artists take Chloe's lead, or stay silent to protect their image? And what happens when the court of public opinion decides before the judge does? Because Chloe didn't just react, she reminded everyone who the real victim is, and she did it without needing a single headline to say her name. Now, it's not just about Chloe's message, it's about what her message unleashed. You start noticing something. Quietly, subtly, but unmistakably, the energy online is shifting. Where people once tiptoed around the D situation, now they're speaking plainly. Commenters aren't afraid to call it what it is anymore. Not rumors, not relationship drama, abuse. And Chloe's post became the spark. Other voices begin chiming in. A few celebrities post cryptic but pointed messages about believing Black women. Domestic abuse advocacy accounts repost Halle's legal filings with detailed breakdowns. Even some of DDG's peers, fellow influencers and artists who once featured in his videos, begin unfollowing him across platforms. That's the part people forget. A 3-word post doesn't disappear. It causes a ripple. And behind closed doors, there's talk that brands are watching closely. Who just months ago was expanding into music collabs and podcast appearances, now faces what insiders call a reputational freeze. No one wants to be the platform that defends the wrong side of this. Meanwhile, Chloe's fanbase, already protective, is now fully activated. They rally behind her. They rally behind Halle. They make it known this is bigger than celebrity, and that's what makes this so different. Chloe didn't post a press release. She didn't stage a sit-down interview. She just said what too many were too scared to say. You start to think, would anyone else have had the courage to speak first if Chloe hadn't? How much did she already know behind the scenes, and how long was she holding it in? And when the trial begins, will Chloe take the stand? Because one post lit the fuse, and now the silence that once protected reputations is crumbling. This isn't just a case anymore. It's a cultural temperature check. And Chloe Bailey just turned the heat up. Not just in Chloe Bailey's public stance, but in how abuse stories are handled in the spotlight. Chloe never gave an interview, never dropped a detailed statement, All she did was post, "Protect Black women." And somehow, that single sentence said more than a 1,000-word essay ever could. Because this wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't a clapback or a trending moment. It was a line in the sand. And as you step back and look at the bigger picture, everything becomes clearer. Halle's legal filings told the story. The public reaction created the pressure. But Chloe? She gave it a pulse. Now fans aren't just waiting for DDG's next move. They're watching to see who else will speak. Who else will stand with Halle? Who will stay silent? You realize this isn't about DDG anymore. It's about a system where silence protects the powerful, where women are expected to carry the burden and the proof, where speaking out can cost you everything, but saying nothing can cost someone their safety. And Chloe made her choice. She spoke. You ask yourself, what would have happened if she hadn't? How many people would still be calling this just relationship drama? And how many other women now feel seen because she didn't wait for permission to speak the truth? Because in a world where silence is often safer, Chloe Bailey chose to be loud in the quietest way possible, and that might just change everything.